Hello, my little ones. Your friend Senior Mosh here to bring you another video. Honestly, I don't know where I was going with that accent. I thought I could do a way better job, but the more I talk, the worse it got. Honestly, I miss you guys. So without further ado, what's going on, my little ones? This is your boy MoashDMC back again, and today I have a very special video because it's the first ever thing that I call click record, where I get on my computer chair, sit in my computer chair, I click record, and I'll talk about the topic at hand. I realize I talk very fast, and I realize I tend to stumble on my words. But the thing about it is, it's authentic. Sometimes I do like sitting down, scripting out, being very meticulous with how I speak, and then editing out the bloopers, and then adding the transitions, the effects, bada bing, bada boom, the sparkles, the chandeliers. See, I don't even know what I'm talking about right now. Honestly, I just say whatever word comes to my head, and I just go with it. That's what click record is all about. You click record, and you just go. No, we're not ending. Sorry. Anyway, the topic at hand today is talking about Brook's awakening. Honestly, I don't know what I'm doing with this background, so I'm going to change it. Give me 1 second. And we're back. Okay. I had to step away because I realized I didn't change the bottom to click record segment about Brook. But like I said, today we're going to talk about Brook's awakening and Brook's sacrifice. I'm not going to say too much about Brook's sacrifice just yet because I have to set the table real quick. Right now on Onigashima, everyone's awakening. Luffy did it, Law did it, Kid did it, Zoro's still sleeping, but he's about to do it. Sanji awakened his Germa genes. Zeus finally awakened from the slumber that was Big Mom's possession. What else? Who else awakened? I don't know. Somebody else. Think about it. Oh, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, Kaido's gonna awaken too soon. He probably already has an awakened Devil Fruit, but we have yet to really see it. And honestly, if you guys haven't seen my previous videos talking about Kaido's awakening, why I think he may awaken, why I think he has awakened, and the correlation between his Devil Fruit and the whole lore and the myth behind it, I suggest you go check it out. But to be honest, the reason why I really want to sit down and talk about Brook's awakening is because not only is Brook my favorite Straw Hat, but I really and truly believe Brook's Devil Fruit awakening may be one of the most broken abilities in all of One Piece. And this is going to lead right into Brook's sacrifice because honestly, the Straw Hats post Wano truly need to be nerfed. Thinking about it, you have after post Wano, they will not only be a true Yonko crew in strength and in name, but honestly, I don't see any other crew truly being able to like go toe to toe with them. Obviously, we got the Red Hairs, obviously got the Blackbeard Pirates, but not like realistically, like power creeping is getting real exponential right now. Next thing you know, we're going to be fighting real gods. I mean, technically Luffy is a god, but I mean like gods. And I think that's a great segue into talking about Brook's awakening, because honestly, I feel as though Brook's awakening, we sort of got a glimpse of it right before the time skip. Well, not really a glimpse of it, but we sort of talked a little bit about it or went into the realm of Brook's awakening pre-time skip. And that was when he was called the Demon Lord. And that was in the village when he saved that tribe of people on Lazy Bones Island, I believe it was called. But essentially, when they heard Brook's music, they were empowered by a warrior spirit, helping them fight back against the long-armed bandits. And thinking about Brook's music, I feel as though Oda's playing on the theme that that music is the key to the soul, or music is the language of the soul. I feel as though both go hand in hand, but music and soul are the two things that Brook actually relies heavily on. And I feel as though both of those aspects are going to play really heavily into how Brook awakens his Devil Fruit. But there's two things I wanted to mention before I talk about Brook's awakening too much. And that was, one was Luffy's awakening, and how Brook may be able to like sort of like empower Luffy in a way. So first I want to talk about with Zunisha hearing the drums of liberation with Luffy's heartbeat. It's very interesting to me that Luffy's heartbeat, in two instances, one, Zunisha being able to hear it, and in two, Luffy's heartbeat essentially being able to empower him to get into Gear 5th and to like not awaken him back up. Well, technically the heartbeat made him awaken the first time, but also the heartbeat sort of like powered him back up after he was starting to lose power the second time. And the dynamic I was thinking about was with how the drums of liberation and Zunisha almost plays hand in hand with how Laboon, if he were to hear Bing Sake played again by a Brook or by the Shell, I'm talking about the Shell a little bit later, that Laboon would have realistically the same exact reaction. And even to go a little bit further, if someone with the voice of all things actually is able to communicate with Laboon, Laboon's reaction will be the same as Zunisha's. The reason why we don't really understand what Laboon's saying is because Laboon was a whale at that time. I don't think we had Chopper yet, and I don't think Luffy understood the voice of all things yet either. So say Momonosuke or Luffy go there and Chopper, they can sort of communicate with Laboon, but we actually get to see Laboon talking to Luffy now. But the reason why I was talking about that is because if Brook's music was able to empower the warrior spirit of that tribe, imagine Brook being able to do the same thing with Luffy. Well, maybe not the same song, but like instead of the drums of liberation, Brook can sort of like make Luffy be his own thing, changing it from the drums of liberation to almost like, well, the best I can describe it is right now the drums of liberation is what makes Luffy so goofy and how he's acting right now. And if Brook's sort of able to change the tune of Luffy's heartbeat with his music, I feel like we may see a either more serious Luffy or maybe even more controlled and calm Luffy, where he's understanding the things that are going on around him. So I feel as though Brook's awakening or Brook's music may actually help Luffy's awakening in some way, shape, or form. But also, the reason I wanted to talk about Brook's awakening a little bit more is because of what Kaido said a couple chapters ago. Well, last chapter, he said when the mind and body finally catch it to the ability or the power of the fruit, that's when you awaken. And I'm just thinking about it. Brook is the perfect fruit. Like Brook's fruit is the Revive fruit, right? And the ability of the fruit is literally to bring back someone from the dead, right? Or bring back their soul and put them in the land of the living. And Brook's literally a corpse. Brook is literally dead. So if you can get the aspect of Brook's mind and body catching up to the Devil Fruit, he should awaken. Brook's body is literally in the perfect condition because Brook is a literal corpse. Whereas his mind now, Brook's mind was sort of implied that he understood the abilities that he had post time skip. When he said, I finally understood my power, it's not when I died and came back, it was my body was emitting this energy to my soul, and basically how my body emits this type of power that almost makes me seem like a living body. And that the true power of the Revive fruit is basically soul power. That's the fruit. It's not the fact that he gets to be brought back, it's that his soul now has power to come back into the land of the living. So Brook essentially doesn't have to live in his body. And that's why we get the point where he even talked about in the same panel, on the same page spread, he's saying that I was able to detach my soul from my body and people are actually physically able to see my soul. Brook's power is not being able to be revived. Brook's power is physically being able to emit soul energy and manipulate soul energy. And I feel as though that's going into the realm of Brook's awakening, but the catalyst is still his music, because that's like how he channels his power, like how Zoro has his swords. And I feel as though we have 3 instances of what Brook's awakening can be. It's like a combination of actually 4 powers, actually. Maybe 5 powers, actually. We have Perona, Big Mom, Moria, Bello Betty. Oh yeah, just 4, yeah. Just those 4. So Bello Betty, Moria, Perona, and Big Mom. And I feel as though, and Apu. Yeah, so 5, and Apu. So basically, this is my understanding of how Brook's awakening may go, right? First things first is that we saw that Brook can already manipulate souls, or human souls specifically, when he was manipulating the soul of the chess pieces when we first saw his Soul King baby form. Well, I gotta do that over. Soul King baby, you know what I'm saying? And he was actually able to manipulate the souls and create that Soul King form behind him. But another instance that he talked about was being able to use his music to create illusions. Actually, that's 6. Okay, that's 6. He has Apu, Perona, Moria, Big Mom, Bello Betty, and Black Maria. So that's 6. Brook's Devil Fruit basically encompasses all 6 of those powers. Well, not his Devil Fruit per se, because it was his music that creates the illusions, but at the same time, I'm counting his music and his Devil Fruit almost hand in hand because he uses both. But moving on the premise that Brook's able to channel soul energy, the reason why I'm saying his music is going to be the catalyst for his Devil Fruit form or Devil Fruit awakening is because I feel as though Brook is able to control souls of all things. 2 instances so far, we've only talked about Brook talking about living creatures. So like one was the chess pieces, and the second one was against the Wan Yudo against Black Maria, when he's able to freeze their Wan Yudo. I feel as though those are 2 instances when he was like manipulating living creatures. Whereas now we know, because of the voice of all things, that other things have wills. Like devil fruits have will. Poneglyphs basically have a will because they have a voice. And if he's able to manipulate devil fruits, but also inanimate things with souls in them, he would be able to reach a level, a realm of being a true demon lord. And that's why Brook's a little bit more broken than Big Mom, because Big Mom's essence is being able to control souls, period. Whereas Brook is different because his fruit is soul energy. And the reason why I'm saying that it's going to be more like Bello Betty, or like more like Moria, is because his soul king form was the essence of grabbing the souls of the humans and then building up his soul king form. Now imagine, instead of using the souls to create a soul king form, he in essence grabs that soul energy into himself. Or better yet, because Brook can detach his soul from his body, he detaches his soul from his body and puts it into his soul king form that actually garners the soul energy for the people around him. Where obviously that sounds a little bit broken, but the one catalyst, and this is why I mentioned Apu, was that only people who can hear his music, souls are affected by Brook. And the only soul energy he can get, the only time he can get soul energy from people is when people can hear his music. So we have Better Belly checked off, we have Apu checked off, we have Moria checked off, and Big Mom and Perona. Basically, Big Mom was when is being able to draw the soul or the soul energy from people. And then the reason why I mentioned Perona is because if Brook is able to give or help people gain the warrior spirit with his music, I feel as though he can also do the opposite. And the fact he's called a demon lord in that instance, when we actually first learned about it, I feel as though he can do both. And even a little bit later on, he talked about how with the long arm bandits, he said that I gave him a death pact that if they disobey me, they're gonna die, something like that. So in a sense, Brook can essentially manipulate the way people feel with his music, but also their soul energy. And almost how Perona had the hollow fruit, it was almost stripping the will away from people. If Brook also wanted to with his music, he can do the same thing. So the combination of Brook's, what the basic premise of what I think Brook's awakening is going to be is basically him having a domain where wherever his music reaches, he can manipulate the soul energy at will within it. Meaning that he can increase his soul power himself, he can decrease his soul power, he can empower his friends, in a sense that his music is the catalyst to him being able to manipulate and control soul energy within a certain area. And I feel that's basically the best thing for Brook, because most of his attacks, basically the whole premise of Brook's fruit is being able to use soul energy. And Brook's attack, yes, he is a swordsman, but at the same time, most of his sword skills plays more into his fencing ability, but his abilities post time skip have been more geared towards his soul energy and manipulating his soul. And that's why whenever he cuts someone with soul solid, it's bringing the chill from his very soul towards them. And I feel as though if he's able to take the soul energy from other people, his chill or his cold will then reach the levels like of people like Aokiji, or maybe even farther. But essentially, I feel as though that's the awakening. He's being able to manipulate the soul energy within a certain area. And that certain area is wherever his music can reach. There we go. And it basically encompasses 6 devil fruits, like I mentioned: Moria, Big Mom, Perona, Bello Betty, Apu, and Black Maria. And the reason why I feel as though making illusions is probably one of the most broken abilities that Brook has not even used yet is because literally how Big Mom is able to inflict fear into people with not even her Conqueror's Haki, but just like life or death or something like that, or Oshiruku or death. Brook, in a sense, is able to do the same thing with his music or with the illusions he can create, because people are already scared of him because they think he's a walking corpse. If he plays onto that a little bit more with the soul energy he collects, Brook can essentially emit a level of Conqueror's Haki that's not Conqueror's Haki, but at the same time Conqueror's Haki. like he can manipulate people's soul energy with the illusions he makes. So you get where I'm going with this, man. Brook's basically broken because his devil fruit literally can control the souls or the soul energy within a realm. I think I've said that about 10 times now. So let's move on to the second phase of this video, talking about Brook's sacrifice. And the reason why I wanted to mention Brook's sacrifice is because I already mentioned soul energy. If he's able to manipulate soul energy and interact with other souls, he should be able to interact with other souls in other areas, and that means and that is like souls that are at Hell's Gate, which has been a common theme that we talked about a couple of times now, but it's been all tied around Zoro. Right now Zoro is basically at his brink. Like, Zoro literally is at the brink between life and death, and Frankie needs to get Zoro to Chopper or else he's gonna die. All right, and I already talked about this a couple ways that someone big in Wano has to die. I just personally feel as though that it makes the most sense. Maybe Marco trying to save someone, maybe Law using the immortal perennial youth surgery, maybe I don't know, someone from the Heart Pirates, someone from the Kid Pirates. I feel as though someone big has to die. I feel as though it just makes the most sense. You challenging 2 Yonko, the world government's there, the Big Mom Pirates are still there. Big Mom may be down, but she's not out. I feel as though it's all gearing towards someone dying or something impactful happening still. And I feel as though it just best fits if Brook is the one to go. And I know everyone's up in arms when I said Brook is the one to go, but when you really sit and think about it, I feel as though Brook's character arc is slowly coming to an end. Like, I know we have the whole thing with Laboon, but I feel as though Oda made sure Whole Cake Island was Brook's shining moment, and he sort of put him on the back burner all of Wano. Even in the fight against Black Maria, it was sort of like Brook is there, and then he's not. And now we said, oh, Brook's gonna versus CP0 agent, that's out of it. So like, it's like, we're getting to the point where what is Brook's role or sole purpose in Wano, and it's going to tie directly into his music. I feel as though, after the whole thing with Zunisha and the Drums of Liberation, I feel as though it's going to fit perfectly with Brook's music being like a catalyst for something to happen. But playing more into Brook's sacrifice, I feel as though after we ended the scene with Zoro, we're seeing the Grim Reaper. Everything got really interesting because, like, what is actually happening to Zoro? Is it a hallucination? Is it actually the Grim Reaper? Is it the Sandai, the Nidai, the Wado Ichimonji, or Enma? Is it a manifestation? What's really happening with Zoro? And I do like the idea that now, with the day being the Fire Festival, the Land of the Dead, and being able to communicate with souls or lighting fires so that the souls or the deceased can see it in the heavens, like all this lore behind death, and then Brooks and the mention of hell being like spread out multiple times, Inferno, all this jazz about death just looming around Wano, and everyone's saying the tension is gone. The tension in the fight between Kaido is gone, but I feel as though there's a lot left to be, like a lot left to happen. And even at the end of Thriller Bark, we got Kuma. Like, everyone, the sun came up, the shadows were saved, everyone's hoorah, happy. But now we're facing 2 Yonkos. And death is looming everywhere. I'm gonna butcher this name, but the Yorishiro trees is basically the Yorishiro, or basically the wraps around the trees, and it said that it gives spirits a free place to roam on days of festivals or days of celebration. And right now we have the Fire Festival literally celebrating dead. I feel as though it just makes the most sense that something's gonna happen with either dead people coming back or people dying, all right? But the sacrifice for Brook, we got introduced to Brook in Thriller Bark, right? We got introduced to Ryuma Wano in Thriller Bark. Brook's shadow was taken and given to Ryuma. Ryuma was laid to rest in Thriller Bark. His body was fully laid to rest in Thriller Bark. He passed along Shusui, right? We come to Wano and learn that most samurais are buried with their sword, and that's why you taking the keepsake of Wano from the god of the blade Ryuma is like blasphemy, basically. Now we fast forward to Wano, and we have Brook basically returning, like, I'm not gonna say returning to where he was from, but basically returning to the place that actually brought us Brook, because we got Brook with Ryuma first, even though we saw Brook as a spirit, as a corpse first. And with music being a key or a centrifugal part in how souls and things operate, everyone's talking about how Brook needs to see Laboon again. And I'm just like, yeah, but Oda sort of gave us this thing that, like, if Brook doesn't make it, there's still a way for Laboon to get closure. And with Robin 1, we still don't know if Robin has saw the 2 poneglyph prints that Brook gotten. And what else left in his head is the shell with the recording of Big Sake. And what's really interesting to me was when they were playing, or when we were getting Brook's backstory with the Rumbar Pirates, and he was playing it, we got trio, duet, solo, right? And then conclusion. I mean, not conclusion, but end. So to me, I feel as though Wano is basically Brook's closing act, and we haven't necessarily seen it yet, but I feel as though it's almost going to happen. And the reason why I feel that is because one, I already talked about how soul energy plays a big factor in it, and Brook basically said that he won't die unless his soul energy runs out. I feel as though the joke about Zoro's soul getting lost and then coming back to his body may not be so jokey after all, because honestly, if Brook's able to become a soul, interact with souls, and actually feel soul energy, it could be a situation where he can essentially bring Zoro's soul back. And even though it may sound like crazy to think about, we literally just got the Grim Reaper, who is essentially a guy from hell who comes when you're about to die and technically taking Zoro's soul. So, and we know that swords have a soul too, like they have the will of their own, but I'm getting sidetracked. I really find it interesting that right now that Brook has no role in Wano and he's just with Robin, right? Even Jinbei now has a secondary role putting out the fire. So what's going to happen with Brook? And I feel as though essentially if Zoro is too far gone, it may be a situation where we have to see Brook go and get him back. And in a sense, sort of giving up his life for Zoro. And where in Thriller Bark, we got introduced to Ryuma and got put to rest. In Wano, Brook comes to Wano, where Ryuma's from, and he gets put to rest. And how his cane sword would be like the signature in his grave. And how the cone, like I mentioned, the shell goes from trio, duo, solo. The solo end is Brook dying. So essentially, Laboon's hearing it as trio, duet, solo, and then finish. And now that I talked about it earlier with Luffy being able to communicate with Laboon, or Chopper being able to communicate with Laboon, they can talk and say that Brook lived like this whole life trying to come back to you, and this is the keepsake he gave to us to give you. Almost how like Zunisha was waiting all this time to hear the drums of liberation again. He heard it with Luffy. The same thing with Laboon has been waiting this whole time to hear their music again, or at least meet them again, and they get that with the shell at least, right? I just don't like. I want Laboon and Brook to meet again. But to be honest, that shell has been looming in my mind for a very long time. There's just no point in even showing that, you know? Brook can play every instrument. He can voice every person on the crew. But with introducing that, it sort of left that eerie feeling that Brook may not make it all the way to Laboon, and someone's gonna have to deliver this to him. But essentially, with everything happening with, like I said, with sacrifice, the Scabbers basically sacrificing themselves for the Odin's dream, for Luffy basically sacrificing himself for the will of the raid, for Zoro basically sacrificing himself for the other supernovas, even though he really didn't, but because he survived. But I feel as though death, sacrifice, and awakening are all things that are looming around Wano, those three themes, and I feel as though Brook's going to touch upon two of those before he passes. Honestly, I want to make the Brook sacrifice video another scripted video. I know this one's a click record video because you just click and record and then we talk about it. But I really want to sit down and actually talk about the themes of why I think Brook actually sacrificed himself for Zoro. And I feel as though how it would be a very poetic ending for Brook's character introduction. And even so, when Brook was looking at Zoro, because remember, two things. Brook also saw Zoro with nothing happened moment. And Brook also saw the Zoro basically not save Brook, but enlighten Brook in a way, because remember, Brook was basically on his knees talking about the 3 notch slash and how it was given to him by his Raider squad before, and how he wasn't strong enough. But then Zoro came basiced and sort of like patted Brook on the back, like, I know you can't do it, I got you, bro. Sit down, watch, big boy got you. So I feel as though their dynamic hasn't really been talked about or like elaborated on too much in the show, but I feel as though there's a lot left to it, and we're gonna get a lot more throughout Wano, or as Wano concludes. But for the most part, what do you guys think? Honestly, the awakening, I do believe he's going to be able to control soul energy within the realm of what his music can reach. I do believe we're going to get a sacrifice from Brook in some way, shape, or form. He may not even fully die. It may be like his bones become like he can't use his body anymore. He just becomes like a wandering soul, something like that. But for the most part, I think that's it. This is the first segment of Click Record. Obviously, guys, I click record and I just talk about whatever's on my mind. Today was the awakening and Brook's sacrifice. But yeah, I don't know what's a good segue? Like I said at the end of every single video, leave a like, comment, and wait, no, let's do that over again. Like I said at the end of every single video, don't forget to leave a comment, hit the like button, subscribe button, and the bell button to come back next time. Remain enlightened, y'all. Peace.